Even as Iran faces US sanctions amid the ongoing West Asia conflict, it has struck a jackpot, it seems, as far as new gas reserves are concerned, potentially adding a new stream of revenue in the future. Iran's oil minister announced the discovery of 7.5 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in the south of Iran's Fars province. Let's just explain this. Based on an estimated recovery rate of 72%, he revealed that around 5.7 trillion cubic feet of gas could be extracted. Not just that, according to him, this gas field could produce around 1 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day for 15 years. Let's just play out for you what he said.
Fortunately, this enormous volume of gas has a particularly important characteristic. It is what we call sweet gas. Because the gas is sweet, it helps bring down both development costs and the costs of production and operation.
Now, this is not the first time new gas reserves have been discovered in Iran's Fars province. In October last year, 10 trillion cubic feet of gas was found in the Pazan gas field of this province. However, nearly 75% of the country's natural gas reserves are concentrated in South Pars natural gas field, which it shares with Qatar in the Persian Gulf. And it is the world's largest natural gas field, according to the US Energy Information Administration. Iran's estimated proven natural gas reserves standing at 1,200 trillion cubic feet, second only to Russia. So why is the latest discovery vital for Iran is the immediate question. The country's energy sector has taken a hit given the US-Israel strikes, with a daily reduction of around 230 million cubic meters of natural gas production. And at the peak of the war, even the South Pars natural gas field, remember, was attacked by Israel. And since then, Iran has been carrying out repairs to its damaged energy infrastructure. And while Iran is the third largest natural gas producer after America and Russia, it is also one of the world's largest gas consumers. For instance, 94% of the gas which it produces is consumed domestically. That's because Iranian households are heavily dependent on gas for cooking, heating. And according to the International Energy Agency, the residential sector accounted for 41.5% of the overall gas consumption, followed by industry with 36%. That's not all. About 85% of Iran's electricity is generated by gas-fired power plants. And according to reports, though, production of gas from the new site in Fars is likely to be years away, as Iran lacks sufficient investment and technology in field and upstream infrastructure development. However, Iran's oil and gas industry has remained resilient by using AI to boost output. Recently, Iranian researchers developed an indigenous smart production management system. It basically integrates wells, pipelines, and surface processing facilities and adjusts operating conditions to maximize efficiency. According to the researchers, this can increase oil recovery in surface storage facilities by up to 59% over a 20-year production period, besides reducing maintenance costs. Let's now talk about the other key developments that we are tracking. In just a few minutes from now, the so-called economic D-Day for Iran will kick in expectedly, with the US Treasury Secretary set to unveil major economic sanctions on Iran. In fact, Trump claims Iran is completely collapsing. But Tehran asserts that this tactic will fail and threaten to shut down all oil exports from West Asia. So a lot is happening. Without detailing specific measures as such, Besant has signaled that the US would also target nations that practice appeasement by engaging with Iran's economy and financial system. China, though, drawing the red line here, opposing imposition of fresh sanctions against Iran, which it argued would escalate the tensions. It called upon all parties to exercise restraint and return to talks. Listen to this.
Sanctions and pressure will not help resolve the issue. They will only exacerbate tensions and escalate the situation, which is in no one's interest. China calls on all parties to remain rational and exercise restraint. avoid measures that could further intensify differences and conflicts and disrupt global economic development and financial stability, and return to the right track of dialogue and negotiations and a political solution as soon as possible.
政治解决的正确轨道上来。
Now, why exactly is China's stance so crucial? Let's explain this. According to reports, Beijing helped push Tehran to the negotiating table for a ceasefire in April, being Iran's largest trading partner, which purchases roughly 90% of its crude oil. In fact, China has high stakes in reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Another key question here, can Trump bypass China's opposition and just go ahead with these economic sanctions? You see, since his visit to Beijing in the month of May, the US president has been keen on China buying American soybean, oil, as well as Boeing jets. For America, China's supply of critical minerals is also vital, as they are essential components in production of weapons, which have been depleted by the war. Going against China at this juncture might put all of this at risk. So that's at stake. And it's also worth pointing out here that Xi Jinping is set to meet Trump at the White House in September, remember. And ahead of America's announcement, mediation efforts reportedly continue. The Pakistan Army chief arrived in Tehran, where he met the Iranian Interior Minister. According to Reuters, Trump spoke to Munir last week, with the US seeking Pakistan's influence to bring Iran back to the talking table. Meanwhile, on the ground, tensions persisted in West Asia. For instance, Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis claiming responsibility for firing a ballistic missile at a Saudi Arabia-flagged tanker in the Red Sea. And this led to a fire breaking out on the vessel. The Houthis declared a maritime blockade of Saudi Arabia last month, remember. On its part, Iran blacklisted 45 tankers for breaking its rules while crossing the Strait of Hormuz, and warned other vessels not to transit the waterway without its permission. It stressed that these vessels could be fined and have their cargo confiscated as well. Additionally, it threatened other countries against joining new US efforts to squeeze Tehran's economy.
In this regard, the necessary warnings have definitely been given, because any complicity with America in carrying out its aggressive actions against Iran will definitely have its own consequences.
Meanwhile, Iran has clarified that it was yet to receive a formal invitation to join the Mecca Defense Pact, which, remember, was signed by Pakistan, Turkey and Saudi Arabia. But very significantly, Tehran did not rule out negotiations with these countries for the overall security of the region. America's fresh threat of economic sanctions, by the way, also coming at a time when the Iranian rial has fallen to a historic low, crossing 2 million rials against the US dollar. And this has raised fresh concerns about inflation, purchasing power, and the Iranian government's ability to stabilize the economy. Food has become very expensive, with the price of rice, for example, up by 60% since the war started. Now, the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian also acknowledged the issues arising out of the current deadlock. And he linked the MOU with the US to Iran's economic prospects, basically saying that his country was not able to attract investment at present. People on the streets of Iran also expressed their anguish over the current state of affairs.
Naturally, the economic situation of the people has worsened compared to before, and the measures that the government has taken in this regard have had little effect to compensate for the inflation that the country is currently experiencing.
So with both the US and Iran unwilling to really budge from their positions as of now, West Asia continues to remain on edge. India's two megapolises, one over 2,000 kilometers apart, in fact, are grappling with the same health scare, a surge in swine flu. While the exact cause for the massive spike remains unclear, doctors say awareness remains crucial. Delhi and Bengaluru both have registered record H1N1 numbers this year, swine flu. While Delhi has recorded nearly 1,800 cases this year, almost 8 times as compared to the corresponding period last year. Bengaluru, meanwhile, has recorded over 2,000 cases till the 22nd of August, almost 80% of its total tally of 2025, with over 4 months still to go. And the absolute numbers might seem alarming, but doctors say there is no real reason to panic. H1N1, being a form of influenza itself, can cause symptoms similar to common flu. It's usually self-limiting and does not require hospitalizations until complications surface, usually linked to age and comorbidities. For swine flu, doctors say the symptoms include runny nose, cough, sore throat, fever, body ache, fatigue. Some patients may also experience vomiting and diarrhea. For many, the H1N1 surge immediately brings back the memories of COVID-19, but once again, doctors say such fears are misplaced. Doctors say the onset of symptoms in both cases may be similar. H1N1 cases may see symptoms worsening far more rapidly as compared to COVID-19. The risk factors in both cases linked to age and other underlying health conditions. And the Delhi government for now has issued an advisory to people urging them to maintain physical and social hygiene. People have been asked to consult a doctor in case of onset of symptoms rather than self-medicate. Hospitals and district health authorities, meanwhile, have also been instructed to strengthen screening, reporting and monitoring of influenza-like illness and severe acute respiratory infection cases. And the government has also designated 2 referral labs at AIIMS and the National Centre for Disease Control for testing and monitoring. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.